Writer Radio Podcast is brought to you by Community Beer Works, making good beer for good people since 2012. The future of Community Beer Works is bright with a new tap room opening. The old tap room currently closed, but the brewery remains open, which means you can still buy the beer all over Western New York and beyond. Single order hazy IPA, double order hazy IPA, both go great with wings. Get it? Single order, double order? The Whale is a classic, and there are all sorts of different varieties always coming out. And let's go Pills. It's Community Beer Works. A lot of exciting things going on, including CBW Trivia Night, which takes place Mondays at Transit Music Lounge in Depew. Get there at 7 to sign in. We'll start playing around 7:30, wrap things up around 9, and then it's your choice to stick around and enjoy beer and wings and all the fun things. Or you can get home. It's a school night. Get home at a reasonable time. Either way, we look forward to seeing you at Transit Music Lounge Mondays for Community Beer Works Trivia Night, hosted by me, Brad, and I hope to see you there as well. Now, on with the show. Hey, what's up? Writer Radio Podcast, Brad Writer with you, and my voice has been not great the last, several days. I recently sat down and tried to record a podcast and had to bail on it because it just wasn't coming out. It just led to a lot of coughing and whatever. I don't have COVID, just cold, passing through, and I'll be fine. But finally, I fought through the voice thing, so I might sound a little weird right now, and I might sound a little weird in the conversation that you're about to hear. But had a chance to talk with my good friend Rich Gaenzler, who you may know as Bull from The Edge and 97 Rock, and the sports station for a while there too. But just awesome guy I've known forever, and we have both been in radio a lot, music and sports, and he got to do both actually. But we talk about music and sports. What would you expect to hear in a conversation between me and Rich? Music and sports. So that's mostly what you're going to hear in this lengthy conversation that I have not yet decided if it'll be one part or two parts. I might just crank out the longest episode of Writer Radio in history and make it all one, or it might be two. I'm not sure yet, but you'll find out. Now, on with the show.
What's up?
Yo, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right. I haven't seen you in a while. I haven't talked to you in a while, and I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to have a conversation with you. One of my favorite things about you is that I feel like when we were both working in radio, and I was working in sports radio and you were working in music radio, both of us were jealous of what the other one was doing. And then eventually you got to do both because you were doing the sports thing and the music thing, and I thought that was cool. Do you consider yourself more of a sports guy or a music guy?
Oh, God, that's such a good question.
I know. I'm awesome at this too, Rich.
I went from being like the biggest sports geeky fan guy ever to a music guy, and then back to I'm more of a sports guy now, although I will say this. Weirdly, I enjoy music now more than I used to enjoy sports. I know that sounds bizarre, but like I'm finding I get way more enjoyment from music just going through my vinyl collection and randomly throwing something on to bring back some random memory than I am just watching a random sports event. So long answer to a great question.
Well, and I want to go further on it because I have found that I'm still a psych. Like I'm never going to miss a second of a Bills game ever. And I will watch pretty much whatever NFL product is on television. And I still work with the UB Bulls, so I'm big into UB football. But like I don't have room in my life for random games anymore. Like there are just two teams playing, and a major victim of this is the Sabres. Like I find out that the Sabres are playing after they've already played, or after they're already playing. I got a call today offering me a pair of tickets. I couldn't use them anyway, but I didn't know at 5:00 today. I didn't know the Sabres were going to be playing tonight. Like I am checked out. I have been for so long on it. It's just not even a part of my life, and it got me into like just thinking about how I consume media. Like we're both long time media people. Like we went to school for it and we did it professionally, and we have done it. We're still doing it professionally for a long time. But man, do I not use traditional media anymore. If I watch TV, it's a streaming service 90% of the time, 95% of the time. If it's not a streaming service, it's me streaming a movie from the hard drive that I have on my computer, or it's me finding, if I'm listening to music. I was thinking about like actual like FM radio, how often I hear that. And I think the only time I listen to FM radio is if I'm in the car and the kids are with me and we're in a hurry, so I don't have a chance to like dig through my phone and put something better on. But that's about it for me. Listening to talk radio is podcasts now. It's very, very rarely live radio. So I never thought I'd get to this point, but I could do without owning a radio or a television for the most part. I need my computer monitor, and that would lead to my streaming stuff. But for the most part, do you? And I don't know if it's a product of age, if it's a product of having kids, if it's a product of it being 2024 and everything has just changed. But I can't believe how far I've gotten away from my roots in radio and television.
I am still like, I don't ever read the Buffalo News unless something happens where I feel like I have to go to, if I can't go anywhere else, to some sort of a news service to find out something. So, but I mean, a paper, I couldn't tell you the last time, A, I bought one, B, I subscribed to it, C, I actually like leafed through it. Although I am old school in the way that I do enjoy it for some reason, some weird reason. Maybe it's because I have fat fingers and I'm not good at swiping up, down, sideways, whatever. But that's the newspaper part of it. But like for me, I want to go back to what you said about the Sabres. Like I'm so sad because there was a time. Well, I guess it would be pre-current drought, but there was a time that wasn't, like, in my opinion, that far away where I loved watching Sabre games. Sure. It was an absolute go-to for me, and now I just can't get excited. I tried watching, and I I do like the live event way better than I do watching on television. But I'm just disinterested with them, and I think a lot of it is age, right? I think that we have, it's age, it's responsibility. When we were in college, holy crap, and like Big Monday in college basketball was a thing, right? I remember me and my buddies going to a bar, probably till I would say till maybe I was 30 years old or so, probably maybe even older. But we go to a bar, Big Monday, every Monday, beer and wings, and watch, Big East basketball, Big Ten basketball, whatever was on. And that was a thing. But then you get older, you get responsibility, you get career, you get married, for your occasion, you get kids, blah, blah, blah. You just get busier. And the things that you used to do and love just kind of go away. And so and there's plenty of reasons. I, like you, am huge on the NFL. I'll watch NFL all day long, but I can't watch the NBA because I don't know any of the players. I mean, the NBA's got to that point where the players are almost all one of three things: one and dones, European, or a lot of mid majors or small Power 5 school guys that for some reason make NBA teams. And for that reason, I know nobody in the NBA. I know probably 35 guys. Well, not that long ago, I knew almost everybody in the NBA. Same for college basketball. So my sports viewing is way down and different. But in terms of my media, I mean, I use everything. Yeah. Everything. Traditional, old school, what we grew up with, forget about it.
The vinyl thing is what led me to this, because I'm thinking about, I can stream, I can tell Spotify, and I feel like listening to the Talking Heads, and I can tell Spotify to play the Talking Heads, and it'll start with a Talking Head song, and then it'll find something else that I wouldn't even associate with Talking Heads, but that I like. It just knows they're good. These algorithms, they get me. And I trust them, and it works. It works really well. So that's one version. And then when I'm going for specific stuff, I like holding the vinyl, and I like putting it on, and I don't mind flipping it over after 4 songs, or in the case of the Southern Harmony Musical Companion, 2 songs, because it's a 2-disc set, or two album set. That kind of stuff. I like going to the used record store and, spending $25 and coming home with 9 different albums, and it's stuff that I might love, I might hate. Like, I've never had a Warren Zevon album before, but I have a feeling tonight might be the night that I'm going to listen to this Warren Zevon thing I picked up 2 weeks ago. I'm listening
That's
to
so
things.
weird too, because Tonight Might Be the Night was one of his songs.
Come on.
No, I'm kidding.
It could be.
I know it could be.
now I want it to be. Now I hope it is. But I mean, that's one part of it is like, I like the tangible thing. And I think another part of it is the infinite availability. And this is music and this is sports. You watched Big Monday because Monday was the day the games were on. You'd catch a Saturday afternoon game, or maybe there was a Friday night game, or maybe it was Friday night fights or whatever. But when you had to open up TV topics to find out what's going to be on, or purchase the TV guide to find out what's going to be on, you had to live by the schedule of that. But
right.
If I want to spend $6 a month for whatever it is for ESPN Plus, I've got 30 college basketball games available to me every night. And now that I have 30 of them, I don't want any of them. And that's it's the NBA too. Baseball, we used to watch the Saturday game of the week because that's when it was on. Or I watched the Mets because I had WOR. And now every game's available, so I don't care. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing that makes me feel like I need to do it, so I don't care. And I even think about, like, my kids. I'm trying to turn them into good music fans, and I think it's working. I want them to know about albums, not just songs. Like, when I was, I'll say a kid, but, when I was in high school, let's say, I would dedicate $15 a week out of a paycheck, wherever I worked at the time. Every Friday, I got paid. That meant I got a CD. Well, I got one CD, and therefore I would listen to it. Or even before that with tapes, and before that with vinyl the first time around. It taught me to, look, I just spent $15 on this thing. I'm listening to every goddamn song. I'm not here for Thunderstruck, and then I'm leaving. I'm going to listen to everything. I'm going to know all the words to Mistress for Christmas because I paid $15 for this thing, and I'm going to do it. And now, if I want a certain band, I'll download their whole catalog and I'll listen to it for a little bit, and then I'll forget about it because I do the same thing the next day. And it's just the massive quantity of stuff that's available. Not to mention that all of it's just on YouTube anyway. So any song you ever want to hear, you can just find and hear at any point in time. And I want my kids to have the patience to listen from start to finish on an album. And I want them to learn about an artist's career. And I'm not going to force it on them, but I am steering them in that direction, and so far so good. It's working. My 7-year-old the other day told me his 3 favorite albums. I didn't even ask him. Without me asking him at all, he told me his top 3 albums. Number 3, his 3rd favorite album in the world is Dookie by Green Day from 1994. He's 7. His
He's
second,
just like saying Dookie like we did.
No, I don't even think he knows. Well, yeah, he probably knows. His number 2 favorite album right now, and this is what prompted it because we were listening to this in the car, is from 1979, Look Sharp by Joe Jackson. Is my 7-year-old's second favorite album.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, what's number 1? He goes, Master of Puppets. I'm like, oh, okay, that's right. Of course it is. I want my kids to appreciate that music comes in chunks. It's not just a single that's on the radio. And I haven't caught him listening to top 40 ever, so that's pretty cool.
I was going to say, man, and that is one diverse trio of albums right there, right? My man.
Yeah, we're doing okay. And that's the little guy. That's the young one. He got Green Day from his older brother. The 11-year-old plays guitar, and he's always up there he was ripping through Welcome to Paradise right before I got on the phone with you. And I was a little worried that it was going to bleed through the microphone because I'm in the basement. He's 2 stories up. The vent is right above me. But he seems to have gone to bed, or he just decided to go acoustic because it's nighttime and, Mom won't yell at him that way. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what my overall point is, but I guess it's just that the vinyl thing is what brought it up. I'm looking. I've got a little stand. Let's see what the last vinyl I listened to. I got to stand up and see what. Oh yeah, Bonnie Tyler vinyl that I found for $2 or something.
Wow.
You know why I bought it? Because it occurred to me only within the last 5 years that Total Eclipse of the Heart has got to be a Jim Steinman song, and he's Meatloaf, and that's Bat Out of Hell. And I just appreciate everything that guy brings because it's like this theatrical craziness. And so I bought it and I checked it out, and I only listened to one side of it because I fell asleep to it, a week ago or so, and I haven't had vinyl on since then. But that's the kind of stuff I'm doing. Here's a question, and I raised this to somebody and they refused to answer it. If you had the choice to, from now on, never hear a new song. So you'd only hear songs you've heard in the past. Rest of your life, no new music for you. Or ditch literally everything you've ever heard. That all goes away. It doesn't exist anymore. And all music will be new to you from now on. Which would you choose?
Well, only I think because I'm stubborn and I don't like change, and I'm old, and old people don't like change. I'm going with A. I'll take my 50. I'm not going to say years of listening acumen, and I'll take that.
You've accumulated enough for sure.
Yeah, I'll take that trunk of music and be able to fall back on any genre I want at any time, and I'll be very, very happy because I know that in the end, it will take me in a really good place, and I generally will not be disappointed.
I thought I felt that way until I realized that lately, when I go to a concert, I'm more excited about the songs I don't know than I am about the ones I do know. And, some of it is a product of seeing the same bands multiple times. I've seen Fish a lot. And I've seen them a couple times in the last couple of years. And the most enjoyable things to me were the new songs or the things that I've never heard them play. And there were a couple mixed in. I was like, oh, I forgot about this one, and that's cool. But generally, the thing that stands out is the new stuff. The last time I saw Ben Folds, I had not purchased his new album, and he played almost all of it, and it was great. And yes, I love all of the old stuff, and I've been listening to him since the early or mid 90s, and I love him. But I also love how he's evolved, and he's playing stuff that I haven't heard. So I've got favorite songs, of course, but I didn't want to hear those. I wanted to hear what he's up to and what's new with him. And that's, I don't know, it dawned on me that while I thought that I'm like you, I'm set in my ways, and I just need the stuff. No. And I'm going back now. Here's an example. So I love Joe Jackson, but his catalog is really daunting. Okay. So he came out with 2 albums in 1979. Look Sharp came out in 79. And then his second album, I'm the Man, came out in 79. And I've known about I'm the Man since 1995. I got really into that album back then. Maybe 7 years ago, I was like, I've heard Look Sharp is good too. I should get that. I got that. It's great. So now I love Joe Jackson. And I have his first 2 albums and also a live thing that spans from 1980 to 1986. And that's all Joe Jackson was to me for a while. Then recently I listened to a podcast where they were talking about Joe Jackson, and they went through his entire career, and they talked about this album called Volume 4. Now, Volume 4 I own. I have it digitally because I downloaded all of Joe Jackson's music. But I had never listened to it because, there are 20 albums in the collection between all these various compilations or whatever. And that one just sounded boring. Volume 4. Why is it called Volume 4? Well, as it turns out, it's because he did the first 3 albums with the same band, the same 3 guys. And then he wasn't with them for a long time. And then they did the 25th anniversary of Look Sharp in 2004. And they got the band back together, and they put out an album. And I just found it, and it's 20 years old, but it's brand new to me. And it's so fun and so exciting to find a new... It's like when that Saskadelphia thing came out from The Hip, which was outtakes from Road Apples. It's like, wait, there's more of that era of that band that I love. So discovering that kind of stuff, I've listened to that more than any other album in the last, 2 months or so. I think it's fantastic.
So I may have sort of misunderstood the question. So part 2 of your question is open to anyone from your past new music. Okay.
All the songs are gone. Every song you've ever heard, you will never hear again. But there are songs from those people that still exist, and they could do things moving forward. I have another question that's like this one that I came up with recently that I'm going to throw at you after you amend your answer like it sounds like you're going to do. I'm not saying you have to. It just seems like you're going to.
No, I'm going to middle sort of. I'm going to waffle a little bit, but So my misunderstanding was that you, I guess I thought that new music meant it had to be new by new artists to you. So it couldn't be, all of the bands that you just mentioned that are some of your favorites that have new music, or it's new music to you.
Right. An album that I missed from 20 years ago.
20 years old.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Now, okay, I am okay.
You can at least see you can at least see the appeal of that.
Yes,
You don't have to commit
for
to it.
sure.
Plus, it'll never happen, so it's fine. All right.
But yes, okay, I want both.
Fair enough. All right, two things. One, you talked
Yeah.
about a physical copy of the Buffalo News. You know when I get a physical copy of the Buffalo News? When my mom sees something that she thinks I'll want to read about because she's heard me talking about it. So I am right now holding a copy of the Sunday Gusto. I guess the Gusto's on the Sunday now. Who knew? From February 4th, because I was at my parents' house raving about the We Are the World documentary that's on Netflix, and they had an article about it a couple days later. I still haven't read it, but it was sitting right next to me when you brought that up, and I'm holding it. So I don't know if you've seen it yet, but let me just give a quick, because I'm going to do a whole conversation about this with somebody else, where the concept is just like, let's break down this documentary. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. But the one thing that I took out of it is that you're watching these people sing this song, and the first one, whoever it is, it starts with Lionel Richie, I guess. So he's singing, and you're like, oh my God, his voice is phenomenal. And then it goes to the next voice, you're like, oh yeah, this is whoever this is. This is the best voice in the room. Like, there are all these stars, but this is the best voice. And then you go to the next one, you're like, nope, this is the one. Here's the question, and I don't expect you to have an immediate answer for it, but I think, there will be some artists whose names come up. If, moving forward, again, the only music you can listen to, from now on, no matter what band it is, no matter who wrote the song, there's only one person allowed to sing forever. So it could be a metal song, or it can be some kind of, pop hit, or it can be country, or it can be whatever it ends, R&B, soul. But you only get one voice that's going to sing every song you hear for the rest of your life. Do you have any idea who it would be? Because I have decided who mine is.
Oh my God.
I know it's hard, but if you watch the We Are the World doc with this in mind, you'll come up with an answer. I'm going to tell you my answer. It's Willie Nelson. Like, what is more pleasant in the world than the voice of Willie Nelson? What's more comforting than the voice of Willie Nelson? I mean, yes, there are times when I want to hear Phil Anselmo screaming, but there's never a time I don't want to hear Willie Nelson. So that's my answer to the question.
I mean, I have the list in front of me of the people that performed. I mean, James Ingram's voice is phenomenal.
That's exactly who I'm looking at right now in this picture. That's funny.
I like, say what you want about Steve Perry.
Right.
I mean, Ray Charles.
The whole thing, every single, it just keeps getting upgraded. You're like, well, that's incredible. And then, you're like, wow, Willie Nelson. And then just Paul Simon kicks in. You're like, oh my God, this is so pleasant too. And yeah, Al Jarreau is incredible. Kenny Rogers voice. I grew up on Kenny Rogers' voice. I could listen to Kenny Rogers all day, every day. It's amazing. Cyndi Lauper, no. Although she's great in that song and she stands out and she might be the highlight of that song to me. But I wouldn't want her to be the voice that I hear all the time.
Is it weird, like, though, remembering back, and I know enough about We Are the World to talk about it, but like, I always wondered, there are people that are part of that song that are like at the utmost highest level ever of music, right? Yes. Ever.
Yeah.
And then there's people who were crazy mad hot at the time. Like I was trying to think about this the other day. The only analogy I could put it would be like there's Babe Ruth, and then there's like Dale Murphy. Like, Dale, like if this thing, I can't even. Right. I'm trying to put it together as we speak. But
Magic Johnson and Jeremy Lin.
There you go. Right. I mean, like,
there's not a ton of that. Like, I was under that impression. Maybe Cyndi Lauper would fit in that category. But like, I'm looking at this picture right now. Like Kenny Loggins is not. He doesn't belong in the category with a lot of these. He doesn't belong with Ray Charles and Smokey Robinson. Lewis, right? But I mean, he's got some endearing hits, and I don't hate him. And it's been whatever it is, 85, 40 years. It's been 40 years, and he's still. I don't say household name, but kind of. I mean, is there anybody who doesn't know that? Yeah, but here's the other thing, though. You watch this movie, you'd be blown away by, like, Daryl Hall. Daryl Hall's voice is incredible. Who, by the way, I just read a thing that when David Lee Roth left Van Halen, that Eddie was interested in Daryl joining Van Halen.
I heard about that. Yes.
That's crazy and super interesting, and I wish I could have heard it. But anyway, but like him, like Huey Lewis. I've never loved Huey Lewis. Man, do I love Huey Lewis after watching this. He seemed like the most grounded, sane human being in that room, surrounded by 50 of the biggest stars in music. I'll say history, but certainly in music in 1985. It's so good. It's such an incredible document of, whether you care about that song or not, just seeing these people interacting with each other. Bob Dylan is there. You know who didn't fit? Dan Aykroyd. I don't know what the hell Dan Aykroyd was doing. Like Ghostbusters was recent. He was Blues Brothers. He loves the blues. I've heard him talk a lot about music, but loving music shouldn't have gotten him in that room, I don't think. I don't know.
But it is pretty amazing though to think about, like, just the dynamic all by itself with those personalities. They all what was it? They didn't. Who said it? Somebody said, like, was it Quincy Jones or somebody said, check your ego at the door. Like,
yes,
forget about who you are and your successes and all of that. Forget about it when you walk in the store, because you look at these people. I mean, there's like 1 billion records sold between these people. Like, it's like it, and I wonder, if these people, when they were in there, actually like knew at the time what this was, and if they realized the utter power of the people they were surrounded by. Like,
yeah, I think a lot of them did. There are moments in the documentary where you can see it. Like there's one moment where, so they all have sheet music, and or I don't know if it's sheet music or lyric, whatever it is, but they all have a packet so that they know the song, because this is all done in one night. They recorded the thing in one night after the American Music Awards. It's just like, everybody's going to be in LA. Everybody come to the A&M studio. We're doing this thing. And it was all top secret and whatever. But there's one moment where there's a little bit of a break, and I'm trying to remember who Diana Ross went up to. She went up to maybe Daryl Hall and said, "You're my favorite singer. Can you sign my music thing?" And then all of a sudden, everyone there started doing it. So they're all just getting autographs from each other like it's an all-star game, or like it's, after the Super Bowl. I guess they wouldn't do it there, but you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden it's, game recognizing game. And all of a sudden there's this bonding thing over it. And I think it was Diana Ross too, who didn't want to leave at the end. She's like, I just don't want this to be over. Like, there were people, some of them got it. Who didn't belong here? I'm looking at this. The Extra Jacksons. It's like, we need Michael. Do we need LaToya? Do we need Jermaine or Marlon or Tito? Because they all seem to be hanging out there. But like, aside from Bonus Jacksons and maybe Al Jarreau, I think everybody belonged. And it's phenomenal. Anyone who will listen to me, I've been raving about this thing. I watched it, and then I watched it again the next night. And I haven't since, but maybe I will again today after I listen to whatever album I promised you I'd listen to.
You know what? I got a question for you then.
All right.
I mean, you're talking about your kids, and did your kids watch that with you?
No, not yet. But I would like them to. My wife hasn't seen it yet either. I watched it on a Thursday night, and then the next day, I was at baseball practice. Like, two of my kids play baseball, travel baseball, so we have an indoor practice, and I just sit around. It's really the calmest. Excuse me, I have to cough for a sec. It's really the calmest 2 hours of my week. Is just sitting at this baseball facility while my two kids on two different teams, they just happen to have practice at the same time, and I just get to hang out with the other parents. And the one guy invited us over. Because my kids are friends with his kids, like, doing anything after practice? You want to come over? Like, yeah, sure. We got pizza. And instead of just sitting around and talking, I had mentioned this thing. He's like, want to throw it on? I'm like, yeah, I watched it yesterday, but let's do it again. So me, my buddy, and his wife all watched it, and we were enthralled. Like, it was perfect. I had just seen it the day before, and it was that good. And then I since have told my wife, like, you need to see this. And my kids will love it also. They won't know the majority of the artists, but they'll get the vibe. They'll understand it, and it's a movie for everyone. I told my parents they need to see it. I'm telling everyone they need to see it. Everyone needs to see it.
It just brings so much humanity to those people who are still, for most of us, like, not real. Like, I mean, because of I think their humility. I mean, to be so humble to do what they did for what they did in such that short a time, and deal with all of the other people there, and not bitch and moan and complain. Well, this isn't right for me, or I can't hit that note, or whatever, and get through it and have the respect of all the other people around them. It's all like, man, it's just what a life lesson for anybody, that if those people at that level can be kind of normal and regular,
Yeah.
like, then everybody should be able to be that way, I think.
Well, the amazing thing, one of my favorite things, is they didn't let anyone but the artists in the room. So there were no publicists or agents or handlers of any sort. It was just, all right, if you're singing on this song, you're in the room. So is Quincy Jones, so are the cameramen and, technical people or whatever. But there were no posses, no hangers-on, no affiliates. So it's like, and they didn't have cell phones in this movie for some reason. I don't know, maybe because it was 85. So when there's downtime, it's just turning and like, hi, I'm Bruce Springsteen, and then right. Bette Midler's like, hi, I'm Bette Midler. To back to like it just there was nothing else to do, because there weren't phones and there weren't other people. That's who was right in the room, and it was like being at a bus station. Like, you're just gonna talk to who's there because that's what you got, So that's hi, I'm Billy Joel. Like Cyndi Lauper, I think, went and said she went and talked to Billy Joel because she knew him because they were from New York or whatever. Like, it was such a. It's such an incredible insight to how human people can become, despite the fact that we have made them gods, if you just put them in the room with the other gods and then get out of the way. And then there's no hotshots. And I honestly, like, you would think a movie like this, and maybe they covered something up because, they didn't show any of the cocaine that kept them up all night. They're showing that it's 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's still chipper. They didn't show why. So some things hit the cutting room floor. But generally speaking, like, there were no bad apples. It was just people performing and hanging out. Some were more tired than others and some were more enthusiastic than others. But it was just an incredible night. And there's footage of, because Lionel Richie hosted the American Music Awards, and he's one of the people who was... who really put this thing together. It was him, Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson, were kind of the core of it. And he was hosting the AMAs, and they're showing footage of it where he's just like, after tonight, nothing will be the same. This is going to be and he went and did the AMAs. He performed twice. He was super hot at the time, and then went to the A&M studio, recorded this thing that took all night, got home at 7 in the morning or something. And his family wanted to talk about the AMAs. And he was so over that. Like, that was gone. This one magical thing with all these people had just taken place. And that's all he wanted to talk about. And they're saying, like, backstage at the AMAs, that's all he wanted to talk about. And people were talking about the show itself because that's what they were into. And he's like, this is what's happening tonight. And this is going to be a magical night. And it's just, it's so great. I hope I'm encouraging people enough to see this thing. It's just so good.
I haven't seen it yet, but... just because I've missed it, but obviously it'll be the 40-year anniversary next year. I'm very curious, and if you've seen something, please tell us. But like, if you were to put together a roster of people to do either the same song or a similar idea as, like, this powerhouse group of performers, like, who would they be in 2025? You know what I mean? Like, I think that would be so fun to be able to try and figure out who that would be, what genres they would be, what decades they'd be from. Do you include some of the original people? I mean, I'm assuming they would, but like, maybe they wanted to do their own. That was more of a contemporary version of it. But I think there would be a lot of fun to kind of a great bargument kind of thing, where you're like, this should be this guy. No, absolutely not. It should be, or this person. I mean, you obviously have hundreds of people to choose from, but how fun would that be?
Do you say bargument? Because I've never heard that, and I like it.
Yeah, I coined that term a while ago.
Love it.
I never hashtagged it or anything, but I don't know why there's never been a game show or a TV show called The Bargument or
a podcast.
Whatever. Like, or a podcast. There you go.
You can name ours that instead of BullRiter.
I like Bargument. That's good.
I like Bargument. BullRiter, Bargument. They're both good. Man, there's so much good stuff to do. I said there weren't many flavor of the month people. Kim Carnes was there. Now, she had a cool voice, but I mean, name something other than Betty Davis Eyes and We Are the World. Name one other Kim Carnes song. I cannot.
Yeah.
So she's out. I think if I'm doing that, first thing I'm doing is starting with everybody who's still alive from this one. And I'm extending the offer to anyone still alive. Because a lot of them are not. But a lot of them are. So I would start with the core from 85. And then I would fill in around it. I wonder if there are enough stars today. Like, who are the first person I thought of that would be like at the center of it for me would be Lady Gaga. And then like, I would think Timberlake would be a part of it.
Hey, it's Brad. First thing I want to do is thank you for checking out this particular episode of Writer Radio. The second thing I want to do is tell you that your work is not done because, as every podcaster in the history of humanity has implored his or her listeners to do, it is helpful, essential that you do all the stuff. The stuff means subscribing and liking and downloading and rating and reviewing and saying nice things and sharing with friends this podcast to keep it going, keep it growing, keep it moving, make everybody's life easier, get more, I was going to say eyeballs, but this is a podcast, more earballs on Writer Radio, bigger and better guests, better conversations, better everything. Everything about the show is better if you actively help me to share it with others. And you can do that by doing all of the things mentioned, not just by me just now, but by every podcaster who's ever sat down behind a microphone and done this. On with the show.
How did you feel about the Super Bowl halftime show? Because I don't even want to say anything. How did you feel about the Usher Super Bowl halftime show?
Well, the only thing I will say about that, one of two things I'll say about that is the entire time my wife was like, Justin Bieber is going to make a cameo. And she kept, where's Bieber? Where's Bieber? Like the whole, and I'm thinking, now this was a total stretch because I didn't hear that at all. But I'm like, wait a minute. Usher's on skates. Bieber's a hockey player. He's from Canada. He skates. This is where his grand entrance will be. And of course, it never was. But I didn't know, like, I wasn't aware that Lil Jon and Ludacris and I think I heard Alicia Keys was going to be a part of it. You know what's funny?
My wife knew that because then she told me they're going to do My Boo. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but all right.
I didn't need him to take his shirt off for me, like, whatever. But it was fine. It wasn't. In my mind, I didn't have this conversation with the people I was watching the game with, but I thought about it. Like, I think Katy Perry and Lady Gaga are like the two last great Super Bowl halftime shows we'll ever see. I mean, those were like the most ridiculous in terms of special effects in giant. What did Katy Perry ride in them, like an elephant or something? And Lady Gaga comes from the moon and wherever. Like the stuff that they did in those couple of years, compared with everything else, to me was like off the charts.
Yeah.
And that for me was kind of like a 7-minute Usher live, compilation of his hits. And I was like, okay, it's fine. The light show is whatever. I didn't hate it, but
yeah.
I didn't. It was like the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I just thought it was nothing. It was just a total zero dial tone to me. I can't believe for 2 months they made Jim Nantz call Usher one of the most iconic performers in the world. Like, every time I could hear in his voice, like, he's not selling this like he sells things at the Masters at all. Like, he doesn't know what you're talking about. And I agree in that prior to that show, I know Usher as the guy who sings "Yeah," and
me too.
And they played that in every promo for it. So I'm like, all right, if he's iconic, I should know something else, right? And then he, I knew the other people and Turned Down for What? Is he involved in that song in real life? I don't even know. Like, that's not even a real song. It's just some screaming. I don't know. I don't get what the hell that was. And I don't care. It doesn't even matter to me. I just think, dude, you're the NFL. Taylor Swift's in the building. I don't know. Like, I think there are better ideas than that. And calling Usher iconic is my problem. I'm like, he's not iconic. He does that "Yeah" song. That's fine. And I don't ever think, wow, I really like this. It's like the beat is good. And I don't even know who did it. Maybe it's Timbaland. Or I don't even know. I don't know. I don't have a problem with that song. I don't have a problem with him. I don't have a problem with any of his music. But to pump him up as iconic and then put that and like, nope, still don't know him, still don't care. Oh, look, his shirt's off. Like, I don't know. The roller skating was cool looking, but whatever. It ain't The Weeknd. The Weeknd was awesome. I loved that a couple of years ago. That was really good, and I didn't know. I knew 2 songs, I think, that time.
Yeah. Anybody that I talked to, like when Usher was announced to be the halftime, every person to a person was just like, okay, but like Usher, like it was always Usher ? Usher?
Yeah.
Right? When he was announced, because like in the same exact thing you said, they couldn't get anybody bigger or better than that. Like, again, to your point, the NFL, with as far as their arms extend and their dollars go, they really?
Yeah, the world is available to you. And now you're making Jim Nantz tell me that Usher is iconic. And he's not. I'm sure there are people who love him. And, I've seen people saying they love the show, and that's fine, too. I don't really care. It doesn't matter that much to me. But I felt bad for Jim Nantz for 2 months, I guess, is really where I land. That it's just not there. There's nothing there. He should have been in the Little John role. Like if you go back a couple years when it was Dre and Snoop and Eminem and 50 showed up and Mary J. Blige and all this stuff, that was cool because everyone had the experience that your wife did with the Bieber thing. Where it's like, what is next? Who's coming? Who could it be? And you had names you could speculate about. Is Ice Cube going to show up? Like he might. I don't know. I don't know what their situation is now. Easy won't be there, but you never know. MC Ren's not up to anything. Like I don't know. Are they going to reunite NWA at the Super Bowl halftime? Anything could happen. Here it's like I don't know. Who am I supposed to associate Usher with? I already saw that Jay-Z's just hanging out in a suite. It ain't going to be him. I don't know. It didn't. I don't want to go. I don't want to be the over-the-top old guy that's like that didn't work for me. But I didn't understand going in. It didn't sound like it would work, and then I watched it and didn't. It was just kind of a nothing. Which is fine.
Look, there's been a precedent set for Super Bowl performers, right? And performances. They have to be people who are like out of this world, like not right, like
Prince.
Top of their game, best of the best, cream of the crop. Like that's who plays at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Right. I don't even like U2, but what U2 did after 9/11, awesome, memorable.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you 100% that I don't know how or why or who influenced the decision makers to go with him, and if is it? This is so dumb, but I'll say it anyway. Is the Super Bowl halftime show kind of like the dunk contest now? Like,
yeah.
But everybody that should be in it, I'll pass.
No, I'm going to be in a suite.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I'll come to the game. I'm not performing. I'm not dancing for you.
Right.
I'll be drunk.
Yeah.
Football game. Yeah. Maybe it's that. I don't know. Like, so look, you've been in radio, and I've been in radio, and now I'm in beer. And what we always end up doing in meetings about like creative ideas, like we are around, we have surrounded ourselves in life with creative people. We've also chosen to work in places without the kind of budget that allows you to exercise full creativity. And I think the thing that frustrates me is like, it feels like we're putting together a golf tournament. All right, what celebrities can we get at the golf tournament? Like, I want Barack Obama. Like, well, we can't afford Barack Obama. All right, I want Jay-Z. We can't afford Jay-Z. All right, I'll take Reuben Brown. Like, that's how our life has been. When you're the NFL, your budget is unlimited. It's the world. It's you want BTS? Get them. Bring me K-pop. I don't care. Are they great? Maybe they're great. Are they super popular? Are they going to like move the needle for someone somewhere? Yeah. I just, it's frustrating to me that the world is your oyster. Pick anyone you want out of the whole world. Everyone's going to take your call. And I know it's not Goodell making the call, but whoever the person is, like I am booking the Super Bowl halftime show. No matter who you call, they're going to return the call. If it's Paul McCartney, you're getting a return phone call. If it's Jay-Z, you're getting a return phone call. Eminem, whoever it is, you're getting the call. And it's like, yeah, of course Usher called you back and he said yes, but you can do better than that. It's not 4 a.m. in closing time. Like, he can up the ante here, dude. You got unlimited budget, unlimited popularity, unlimited everything. Clout.
Wait a
I guess
minute.
is the
Wait
word.
a minute. Hold on.
What?
You just put Our Lady Peace and Semisonic on the same stage at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Right? Yeah.
4 a.m. in closing time. There you go. Boom.
Do you have an opinion on the song "Closing Time"?
I love that song.
Do you? I hated it for so long because it's the same reason I hated.
Waited much.
What's the band? I think they're from Columbus. Oh my God.
Black Keys?
Sequestered in Memphis is a song. Anyway, there's a band that I hated because all of the songs just sounded like cliched bar lines from college.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. It's like, yeah, I heard
Right.
that in 1992 and Geneseo. Like, it was so stupid. And then I heard a Song Exploder podcast with the guy, and it was about how it was the birth of his kid. And I hear the song totally differently now, and I like it. But I hated it for so long, and now I'm okay with it. Our Lady Peace. I hate Our Lady Peace.
You hate Our Lady Peace.
I just can't. I've never been able to tolerate that guy's voice.
Isn't that interesting, though? Like, I've heard people. This is sacrilege, I know, to you especially, but I've heard people say the same thing about Gord Downie. Where like, I just can't stand this guy's voice. His voice, like, it's the weirdest voice I've ever heard, and blah 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 blah. I've heard that.
I've heard that about Ben Folds. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but if you actually took a second to stop and listen to a lot of great air quotes singers / bands and their frontmen, and you actually stopped and you separated, if you could, but tried your hardest to separate their voices from everything else in those songs, you might say to yourself, man, that guy's not a really good singer.
Yeah.
Like,
separate good from cool.
Yes.
Like Axl Rose?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can't not hear. When I hear OLP's name mentioned, I hear why from Superman's Dead, and I just, nothing. I just got nothing after that. Tea Party, too. Same thing. Like, I'm big on the Canadian 90s bands. I was, like, the Hip, obviously. The Watchmen, I love. 5440, Lowest of the Low. But OLP and the Tea Party, I just never, ever, ever got. And I think it was singer related.
Oh, well, I mean,
am I a bad person?
No, I could understand how you might think Jeff Martin from the Tea Party was kind of a tool, because he sort of has that sort of he has an arrogance to him. But man, I got to tell you, musically, for me, as a trio, that band I thought they were phenomenal. And he does have this sort of like Jim Morrison,
Ian Astbury.
Like
Ian Astbury is who I always thought of him. I thought of him as a fake Ian Astbury, and I love Ian Astbury, who played Morrison when the Doors got back together without Morrison, obviously, because he's dead. But
okay.
So yes, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so I was a fan of the Tea Party, so we agree to disagree.
I didn't know they were a trio.
They were, and here's the other thing. And maybe I'm a little biased because I met both those bands on numerous occasions, interviewed them a ton of times. So maybe because I might have a little bit of bias that way, because they were just all like super good people, shockingly to some. So maybe I have a little bit of bias that way.
They're not just musicians; they're Canadian, so they're good people. That's the way it is. That's how it goes. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that in a world of infinite possibilities, if Our Lady Peace is on, I know I could be listening to something better. So I've always switched. And I don't dislike the Tea Party as much as OLP. OLP just, God, that's just nails on chalkboard type of thing for me. That I just, no. But that's just me.
Well, okay. So this is funny because Paradise by the Dashboard Light is like that for me. Like, I despise that song. One of my most hated songs ever.
Yeah. I know that I'm I know that you're not alone. And I know that, like, I remember high school basketball, we used to come out to cool, Thunderstruck type of stuff. And the girls team, they had this like playlist of pregame songs, and Paradise by the Dashboard Light was on it, and I love the song, but it just made no sense, and it's maddening the way that it's perceived. But like we were talking about records. I bought an Ellen Foley record because she's the female singer on that song, and I have not listened to it yet, but I will because I got it for $1, and like that's the kind of stuff I've been buying. It's just like accumulating factoids from my past that like, this might be something. Like I've discovered, why didn't nobody ever tell me that Jackson Browne's so much better than just Running on Empty?
I agree.
Nobody ever told me that. But I saw that record and another one. I don't remember which one. Bought both of those. They're fantastic. It's in the vein of who's that?
I was going to say, so where are you on your record collection in terms of your wife slowing down your accumulation? I'm just curious because the way like the way you're buying in seemingly bulk because you can.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that your collection is exploding, especially if you were to do the back to your Paperboy thing, whatever you said you did when you got your $15, you bought a CD every week. If you're buying 9 pieces of vinyl every week, that can add up pretty quickly.
Yeah. It's not every week. For Christmas, I told my parents, like, I don't want them buying me stuff. Like, I know they're going to. I'm like, how about gift cards? I'm like, look, I always am going to go to Home Depot or Lowe's. That works. So if you want to give me something, just give me a gift card from there because I will use it. Right. And then I feel like there was one other thing I threw out there. And then I said, also, there are 2 record stores near my house. And either one would be cool. Like if I got a gift card for there, I would go spend 2 hours and, get a bunch of fun stuff. Well, my mom, being who she is, went. Actually, I think my dad went, but my mom decided. They got me a gift card for both of those record stores. So I had 2 separate, 2-hour experiences of shopping for, $1 to $3 albums. I mixed in. I think I might have paid $14 for that Warren Zevon one or something like that. I am not a collector to collect to show off. I am just there's going to be a night where it's 11:30 and I am curious to know what Graham Parker and the Rumor sound like right now, and I'll listen to it 3 times in a row. Like that's kind of where I am. I also, maybe 10 years ago or so, I started anytime I buy an album, like if there's something new coming out, and I still look, I'm dirty. I'm not against, like I was talking about, downloading entire collections of something. I'm not paying for those. I'm doing things you're not really supposed to do. But there are certain artists that I'm very dedicated to that when their stuff comes out, I am paying them for, I feel like I owe them, like they've given me something in my life. And, I'm going to give Fish my money every time. Like they put out an album, I'm going to buy it. But what I've discovered is if you buy it through Amazon, you also get the digital version of it. So I have several albums from the last 10 years that I've bought, and the digital comes first. So I've listened to that a bunch on my phone or in the car or wherever, and then the album hasn't been opened. So there's a little collector thing going on there, but mostly I'm just buying stuff to throw on because I think I might like it, and it's probably worth $2 or $3. So I will say I'm looking right now at my record shelves. I built 2 shelves into the wall. And they're like between these 2 steel girders, it fits perfectly. I have just gotten to where it doesn't fit. So I have downloaded plans where you can make a standing record shelf out of one 4x8 sheet of plywood that allows you to flip through the albums forward instead of looking at their spines. And that is the goal. So I've got a sheet of plywood in the garage that I'm planning on using for that. I just haven't gotten to it yet because I don't want to make the sawdust down here and the weather sucks. So once the weather is a little bit better, I'm going to be in my driveway with my miter saw and my plywood and making this freestanding record store looking thing that will hold all of my records and more. Because I'm looking at my 2 shelves, they're full. My last batch of 8 records made it so I had to stack 5 on top. So I'm at capacity and need to upgrade my storage, and I've looked into it, and I am ready. Do you have a Pinterest account?
You know what? What?
Do you have a Pinterest account?
I do.
You do? All right, cool. I thought you were really like, no, because I'm a guy. I have a Pinterest account. I use it for a few things. It started when my wife was planning for like Zach's first birthday party. Here are some ideas. And she just started sending me stuff.
Yep.
But I have a projects one that's like that kind of stuff, like DIY shit. And then I have recipes keepers. And then I have recipes to try. Those are things that my wife and I share. And then I have one that I call Read While Pooping. And that is every article that somebody sends to me that's too long to read because I don't have time. And I just say, I've never opened it. I've only saved, I've got probably, 145 articles in there, all of them long form, like, recap of the production of Dazed and Confused. Like all the stuff I really want to read. I'm never going to do it. Maybe I should do it on a podcast. I should do like a Read While Pooping podcast.
I like that. That sounds really good. That's better than Bargument.
I don't know. There could be segments within the same thing under the category of BullRiter. I don't know. It could go whatever. I interrupted you when I asked you about a Pinterest account, and I don't remember what we were talking about before. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, but I was interrupting you too because since we're on this whole record store thing,
yeah,
I will not buy one of those like new reprint reissues, largely in part because I'm like really cheap.
Yeah, I'm super cheap.
But I just can't stomach buying, I'll just throw it out for argument's sake. Like I can't just like a Pearl Jam 10 reissue, right? Like I just can't. I'm not going to spend $35-$40 on that. It's just, I don't know. Is that you?
Oh, I've never ever. Jason Isbell comes out with an album. I buy it on Amazon so that I get the digital, and then the record comes. Fish comes out with an album. I do the same. I've done it with the last couple Joe Jackson albums. Trying to think what other Marat. I don't know if you know Marat, but Marat is one of my personal favorite bands of all time. Just dudes out of Philadelphia that I saw at Mohawk Place once, and ended up talking to him. And I still talk to the one guy on like we're friends on Facebook, and I still message with him. And it's just they're the best band that never made it. They were. Like Springsteen has jumped on stage with them and played. Like that's how good they are.
Wow, that's pretty sweet.
They were on Steve Earle's label at the time, E Squared. And the greatest story that I have in my life revolves around that band. Like I'm not going to do it right now. I've probably done it on the radio. I've probably done it on a podcast. But it's the best story I have revolves around that band and Steve Earle. I love them. I will do, but they're not together anymore. But they put out a reissue. Actually, I don't even know that it was a reissue. It was first time on vinyl, probably, of one of their albums. And I bought the full package because, again, the bands that really mean something to me, I intentionally spend money and support. And they had like a $100 package where I got the vinyl and the CD and a hoodie or something, whatever it was.
Nice.
So that's kind of where I go. But no, I don't do reissue. I don't do. I mean, if Metallica would put out what has become And Justice for Jason on vinyl, I would do that because, notoriously they held him out of the mix on that album. And if it had bass, it would be so much better because it's such a great album, even without him, but he's barely there. If they would put that out, I mean, that's just like a dream thing. I would buy that as a reissue. Yeah. It wouldn't be a reissue. It would be like a new version of it. Although that, I guess, is what reissues purport to be, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like it's stupid. It's really stupid because I'm sure the brand new versions are even better than the originals. But there's something about the original. It's like here we are. I don't care how beat up it is. Like this is what it was when it came out.
Right.
Like it just doesn't matter. Like just.
No, I have a cassette deck hooked up to my stereo system, and I'll throw stuff on there. I'll throw on mixtapes are the best because
that's great. That is great. I still have my cassettes too. I probably have about 300 of them, and I certainly, God, you and I have lived long enough and collected long enough, all these kinds of things, and my wife just is constantly on my back, like, why do you have this here? And we just put that there? And
Yeah.
can you just get rid of these? And
Yeah.
why don't you put these on eBay? They're probably worth something. And,
Do you have a working cassette player?
I do. It's in a,
There we go.
it's in a boom box.
Oh, okay. Nothing wrong with that.
But, yeah. So, but I haven't, I am a little nervous. I feel like cassettes probably should be stored in a particular way.
Temperature wise, for sure.
Yeah, I do feel like some of them may, get into the player, and the spools may just tear them apart. So I'm a
Get
little
out
nervous.
that number 2 pencil, buddy. You know how to do it. You've been there.
I do. You're right. It's tricks of the trade.
Absolutely. I don't know that I need to hold on to, but I can't throw them out, the cassettes that are like store-bought cassettes, which I still have so many of them. But again, sitting in a box, I never put those in. But I have mixed stuff. I have, I used to tape songs off. I have stuff from like 1982 where I was listening to WNYS, which was 104 at the time, FM 104. And like I've got the DJs talking and leading up to songs. I used to call and request songs and ask them if they could. I probably only did this once, but I remember it. Asking if he could say that he was going to play the song and then like wait a second and then play it. So that I could record it properly without his stupid voice on it. Like I have that stuff. Like those tapes are the reason that I still need the cassette deck. I have a VCR. You know why I need it? Because I taped the Beavis and Butthead Moranathon in 1993 or something, and it's
so good,
unbelievable. And guess what? On VHS, it comes with all the music in there. It also comes with all of what MTV was. It comes with the commercials. It comes with Kurt Loder telling me about whatever, and John Norris and Tabitha Soren. It comes with all of that. So I've got, a 6-hour tape of that. I'm never, ever going to be able to live without a VCR. Well, aside from the fact that I bought a thing to digitize it, I just haven't done it yet. But I mean, that's the stuff. So like the tape stuff, yeah, it might sound like crap and it might be real staticky for a little bit and kind of when the tape is playing. But that's part of the charm to me. Like
I thought so. The Beavis and Butthead thing on VHS, you're like way lowbrow than I thought you would be. I thought you'd be like, I had that Skinamax for some alone time, So
no, I'm highbrow with Mike Judge and Beavis and Butthead. I'm way up there. I do still. No, I didn't. That's the stuff I was able to throw out. I could throw out the VHS tapes that had movies on them. My VHS tapes were basically from free HBO weekends. So like whatever played when there was like a free HBO weekend, because we didn't have HBO. But man, did I watch the shit out of The Lost Boys, because I recorded it in, who knows, 1989. It came out in 87, I think.
Killer soundtrack.
Oh my God, so great. Thou shalt not kill. Echo and the Bunnymen doing People Are Strange. It's so good. Yeah. But like those, I was able to get rid of those because it's like, it's just a movie. I can watch it elsewhere in better quality. I don't need to watch. But something about the tapes, there's a charm to it. And I will say this too, the records. There's something about the crackly nature. I wrote this down at some point as something I wanted to say, and I actually remembered it. I love that the shitty records sound shitty and that the new ones sound pristine. Like you buy something and it's like it's on 180 gram vinyl and it's going to be perfect. Wilco Summer Teeth is perfect. It sounds so good. But there's something about, like, you know how there's that crackly fire thing in Rock of Ages by Def Leppard? Yeah. I have extra crackle because I have the actual vinyl from 1983 when I got it from the Columbia House Record Club. Like,
oh my God.
Bonus crackle is awesome. Not great for movies. I think it works for music.
I would agree 100%. And the other things too, the liner notes, the sleeve, the artwork, all of it is just so unique. And, it's CD jackets didn't do it justice. And it's just, or jewel cases rather.
Yeah.
Vinyl is one of a kind. There's nothing like it.
When I was working for the gas company during college. Like my summer job was at National Fuel. And the 1 year, it must have been between sophomore and junior, so summer 94 probably. I worked in the engineering department, Lafayette Square, or whatever the building was called. And for whatever reason, we had this like high-end color printer. And, oh no, it was before senior year. I was taking in like, 5 or 6 CD covers, like booklets a day, and printing 11 by 18. Well, they would have been square, but whatever, 11 by 11 squares in my college dorm room junior year or it wasn't even a dorm, it was an apartment or a house. My room was covered in, the cover of Super Unknown, the cover of Dirt, the cover of In Utero, or never mind, whatever it was at the time, all that stuff. Because they weren't big enough. I had to blow them up and make them into a wall thing. Record, like, just album covers are art. I mean, there's a reason you go to the Hobby Lobby, you can buy a case to display them. I'm not going to do that because I want to listen to them, but I get it, man. I think it was more tangible. It was I can't say better, because having access to every song, if I think of a song from 20, 30, 40 years ago that I haven't heard in a while, for some reason something comes up, triggers it, I can find that song in 10 seconds, and that's awesome.
Dude,
but it's also not awesome.
I'm looking right at my Master of Puppets, my Genesis Seconds Out, my Rush Signals, my Police Synchronicity, and my Electric Ladyland Jimi Hendrix Experience, all framed on my wall in my man cave. I mean, they were all signed by particular people.
Oh, well, okay.
To better them, but still, I mean...
So then what do you do with the record?
The record is in the sleeve in amongst the other vinyl that I own.
We should start a business where we sell empty record cardboard cases. They probably exist, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I would want that. I would want that. I wouldn't tolerate Electric Ladyland in a sleeve. That's just me. But I get why it's art. I get why. Say them again, because I didn't realize we were talking about a wall. Tell me who made the highlight film here?
I'll tell you who made it in one band that didn't.
Master made it.
Master of Puppets, that has Hetfield and Ulrich's signatures on it. Genesis Seconds Out has Chester Thompson's signature, who was the touring drummer in Genesis.
Okay.
Geddy Lee's signature, Rush Signals. Stuart Copeland from the Police on Synchronicity. And then Eddie Kramer, who was the one of the engineers on the Jimi Hendrix Experience album, signed that.
I know that name, and I don't know Hendrix well, so I feel like he's more than that too, is my guess.
He is. He had, anybody that's listening, just Google Eddie Kramer with a K, and he was I think he did some stuff with Cream, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of like late 60s, early 70s, rock, psychedelia kind of vibe, he was one of the, extremely talented guys. Yeah.
Cream is a band that I got to very late. I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe. I was like, I should check them out. Man, there's something going on there. And then that led me to following, like, getting into Ginger Baker a little bit. And then the, oh my God, now I just forgot the name. I was about to say it. Sunrise on the Suffer Bus. Oh my God, what was that album? I can't think of the band. He was in a band.
I got to Not Traffic.
No, he was in a band. They put out an album called Sunrise on the Suffer Bus in, let's say, 1991 or 2. And She Got Me with a Red Dress On is the first song on the album. That was a hit, sort of. It's awesome. It's such a good album. And we're gonna wrap this up soon, I promise. I want you to think about this, though. Think about some album that you know about that people don't necessarily know about. Like I threw out that Joe Jackson Volume 4 is something that's been hidden from me. It's from 20 years ago, and I just found it. If you have one of those, I would love to hear it. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but if you think of one, throw it at me, because
sure.
That's the vibe I'm going for, kind of overall with the podcast. Is I just want people to find new stuff to like, because I'm discovering new stuff to like. And I hope the podcast is one of those things that people like too. But I don't know. If you've got something, hit me with it. Otherwise, is there anything that you intended to discuss with me tonight that we did not discuss?
Well, probably purposefully, you didn't talk at all, really, about except for the halftime show, the Super Bowl. So that's fine, even though we're both sports guys. That's fine.
Yeah,
and that's been over talked about anyway. So I'm good with that.
Who are you rooting for? That's what I want to know.
I was rooting for, you know, when
is this complicated by betting, Rich?
Of course.
Okay. Mine is not.
I mean, I think I wanted. Part of me wanted the 49ers because I didn't want Kansas City to win again. That old stupid argument. Another reason, then I wanted Kansas City to win because if they win, then we lost to the champs. And I also wanted Kansas City to win because I thought they were going to win. I just couldn't bet against Mahomes. It was just impossible.
Yeah.
The guy is just, I mean, all kinds of mad respect for him and Andy Reid and Spagnuolo, who got, in my opinion, not enough credit for what he did with that defense. They were phenomenal. But so I didn't answer your question, but I kind of wanted the 49ers.
I think you did. Your heart said Niners, but your money said Chiefs, and you had the Bills part of it too.
Yes.
And that's where I am.
Yeah.
I was rooting for the Chiefs completely because I find this very similar to the whole Brady era, where when the Patriots won, that year didn't count. It really wasn't anything. It's like, yeah, the Patriots won. Fine. It's Jordan won. Okay, of course. Yeah, the Bulls won. Big deal.
Yeah.
It's the year that it isn't that team that matters. And I want the Bills to be the team that matters by beating them and taking care. And they lost by 3 to the champion with a ton of people hurt. And I still personally don't think there's ever been a better athlete to root for in a town than Josh Allen. And so I literally would not trade Allen straight up for Mahomes. And I still think every time I play Mahomes, I'm scared. But it doesn't matter to me. I'm here to root for the guys. This is something that almost came up earlier and I forgot, or I just, got distracted. The part about me not watching the Sabres anymore, when Lindy Ruff got fired, I was like, I'm not sure that I like the team anymore. I think that's who I was rooting for. I liked him so much, and I liked the players around him, and I liked the players that he liked and that liked him, and that was the club that I was into. And then once he was gone, I just didn't care. I didn't have the same attachment. Yes, I prefer if the Sabres win a game instead of losing a game. But I was thinking about it today. I was telling my kid that we got offered Sabres tickets tonight, but we couldn't go because he had a concert. And he's like, I really want to go to a Bandits game. I was like, the Sabres and Bandits are not that different to me anymore. They both say Buffalo, so I hope they win the title. And I'm more inclined to really get into the Sabres. And I know you've got a Bandits, you were big with the Bandits for a while, and you probably have seen them more and care about them, have them more as a part of you. But I had the Sabres as a part of me, and then the Bandits were a team from Buffalo, so I hope they won. And the Sabres have kind of become that for me, and it's because of the Lindy Ruff thing. And I don't remember how this connected to Mahomes, but it did.
Yeah, I don't know either.
There was a point. When I listen back to it, when I'm editing this before I put it out, I will totally know what my point was, and maybe I'll tack it on at the end.
Yeah, I will agree to you as we start to decline on this thing with your Josh Allen comment. Is he is maybe the easiest person I've ever been able to root for. I mean, aside Fitz was pretty easy to root for. There's a handful of Bills over the years that were really, really, really easy to root for, that rarely did anything wrong. And even when they did, you forgave them pretty much immediately. Or you rationalized for why they did something wrong, and it was never their fault. He's kind of in that boat for me right now. He's the Bills won the lottery with that kid. He's everything. And I hate to say this, but I know there's people out there, and I hate them for this, but that are waiting for him to crash. And I don't want that to ever happen. But and I don't think it will. I think he's too salt of the earth to do that, to make some sort of tragic error some way somehow. But I know there's people that are waiting for that to happen. I don't think it will. he's clearly not perfect, but he's pretty damn close.
Yeah, I think he's pretty close. Yeah, he's. There's no crash coming. There's no problem coming. I'd be shocked if he doesn't retire as a Bill. Everything about him is so likable and so interesting. And by the way, I heard this was awesome. I heard Ryan Russillo podcast. He was talking about, he does a thing every year where he compares NBA stars to NFL quarterbacks. And he compared, and I know you said you're not big in the NBA, but you know Luka Doncic. You know of him.
Yeah.
He compared Josh to Luka, and he said the reason that he's doing that is that as soon as either one of them wins a championship, everyone will go, oh yeah, that's the best player in the league. And I thought that was so perfect. Like that's who he is. Fitz was easy to root for. He was awesome. But you also knew he was going to let you down because he just wasn't skilled enough. This guy has the capability. He's in the argument for best player in the league. He is the best player I've ever seen play for the Bills. And I'm with him until it ends. And maybe that was the Lindy thing. I was with Lindy until it ended. Like I thought Lindy Ruff is going to win a Stanley Cup. I hope it's in Buffalo. Josh Allen's going to win a Super Bowl. I hope it's in Buffalo. Is kind of where I am on him, and I don't see any reason that it won't be here. So when they lose, they get knocked out. It was not heartbreaking to me because he's coming back next year, and they're going to work on it, and they're going to be right in the conversation again, and that's going to keep going for as long as he is in his prime or close to it, which is another easily 5 years and probably longer.
And by the way, memo to Bills fans: do not take this guy for granted, please. I mean, just the NFL records alone this guy has 6 years into the league is unbelievable, and I think people don't even think about that. It's just he's our guy, and he's a Bill, and he's great, but they just I really don't know if they know how great he is at this point in his career. I mean. That guy's gonna destroy records at his pace. Destroy records at his pace.
With a smile on his face while being cool and interesting and fun and showing up in national commercials and being he is. I heard recently, Mahomes is the face of the league. Josh is number 2, and maybe 3 behind Kelsey right now. But he's in. That's who he is here in Buffalo, New York, and that I think is what we missed from the Super Bowl era, is the relevance. We are a small town. We feel like a small town. We want people to notice us and like us and think we're cool. And we had that way back then. And then the Bills being irrelevant, I think hurt us a lot, hurt our psyche a lot. They are 100% relevant. If you ask anyone at all to talk about the NFL, they're going to be one of the first 4 teams that are mentioned for sure. Every time, every conversation until he's gone. So that's what I'm looking for. I can handle losing in the playoffs. I can handle losing in the Super Bowl. I need to know that I have a chance to win it, and I feel like with him I do, and I enjoy it. I enjoy being along for the ride with him, and you're right. Let's not let that be lost on anybody. It's a big deal, especially if you witnessed what it was like in between 1996 and now.
Yeah, during the Super Bowl, they were showing people from around the world watching the Super Bowl, and I can't remember what city it was in. I feel like it was in Sydney, Australia, or something. They had this big wide shot of this huge room of people watching the game, and I'm telling the people there, hey, there's Josh Allen. There's Josh Allen. There's Josh Allen jerseys littering Sydney, Australia.
Right.
I mean, that should tell people the level of star power, if you don't know it, that this guy has.
All right, there is Rich Gaenzler, formerly of The Edge and 97 Rock, the Bull. He wasn't the Bull, he was Bull. Just Bull. As we've joked about, if we do a podcast together as a regular thing, it's BullRiter. Like a bull rider, get it? I don't know yet, while I'm recording this, if I made that 1 part or 2 parts. So next episode, you might hear more from Gaenzler, or it might be a totally new thing. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot going on. Certainly at CBW, there's stuff to talk about at CBW.
I'm sure that's coming soon within the next couple of days. That I'll get somebody on the podcast to talk about everything that's happening with Community Beer Works and our little brewery being in the news lately about becoming not so little of a brewery. Very exciting news, very exciting times, and we will get to that, I'm sure, within the next few days. But for now, I will say goodbye, and I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you for listening, sharing, doing all the stuff.